The mysterious Kailasa Temple of India, by far the most magnificent of a mind-blowing over 100 Ellora Cave temple system, carved straight out of a solid basalt rock mountain face, one of the hardest known igneous rocks, registering up to an 8 on the Mohs scale of hardness. This temple structure was created from the top down, carving the rock from above like it was a simple wooden carving out of a tree. How could they possibly cut a stone of this density with such precision? It shows an incredible amount of evidence of pre-planning containing a computer-like perfection. With over 100-foot tall pillars, extremely complex carvings of elephants, lions, different three-dimensional high reliefs, intricate bridge systems, rainwater collection systems, drainage systems, complex stairways, balconies, and hidden underground passages. The intricacy of this structure proves within itself that an advanced builder culture was present here in India, creating some of the most magnificent megalithic structures on the planet, and is clear evidence displaying high levels of knowledge that were present throughout the entire globe, from Egypt to India in our ancient past. It's like this temple was excavated by an advanced machine, the level of perfection and immense difficulty that is at display here. An estimated over 400,000 tons of rock is said to have been removed in the creation of this temple, which mainstream archaeology believes to have been built within only 18 years. That is simply put, not possible, only having chisels, pickaxes, and hammers. When you do the math, they would have had to remove over 2.5 tons of rock every hour, on the hour, for 18 years straight. No breaks. Somehow, 2.5 tons of rock would have had to have been removed every hour on the hour. And that doesn't even take into account the carving of all of the intricate details. With no heavy machinery, yes, I'm sure that they were all just as strong as the Hulk and could lift 2.5 tons with one arm themselves. Quite a simple task, right? Mainstream archaeology? No. This clearly is impossible to be done by a primitive culture lacking any advanced knowledge, tools, or advanced machinery, and quite simply implies the exact opposite. In fact, this temple had to have been created by a highly advanced and extremely intelligent ancient culture. If you are still skeptical, grab some popcorn, because this will prove my point even further and without a single doubt, by this mind-blowing aspect alone. In the year 1682, the Mughal king Aurangzeb, who was the perpetrator of destroying thousands of Indian temples through his reign, gave the task of demolition to 1,000 people. He said to destroy this whole temple completely. They worked for 3 years until they finally realized it would be impossible to do so and gave up, only being able to disfigure a few of the stone faces. That alone shows you just how truly hard this basalt stone temple is. This was said to have been built by a more primitive culture 1,000 years before this. How could over 1,000 supposedly more advanced people spend 3 years trying to destroy this temple and barely put a single dent into the entire structure and give up? This evidence alone proves itself. It is the smoking gun evidence left in stone that there are amazing ancient megalithic building sites across the entire planet, and a clear representation of a greatly advanced ancient culture that would be comparable to ours of today. It also appears, if you look at the top of the structure, with these 4 lines and preceding circles surrounding them, they also tracked the great 26,000 year precessional cycle, similar to the Egyptians and Mayans. Even more evidence of advanced geodetic knowledge located here and known by this culture. It It would be very interesting to see if someone in India could gather more information on the exact location data here and see just how precisely this temple aligns during the equinoxes, and if the lines on top are truly telling us a story of the so-called 4 ages or seasons in the great precessional cycle, and potentially the smaller cycles of Earth with these smaller circles around the lines. This is my speculation, but definitely something I hope to go see in person and research more thoroughly. This temple itself appears to be aligned to the north and west quite precisely within its structure if you look from the sky. The magnificent Kailasa Temple bears many mysterious similarities to the great buildings of ancient Egypt. It is clear, undeniable evidence from the advanced cultures that inhabited the earth prior to the Sumerians, before the great cataclysm of 13,000 years ago, known as the Younger Dryas impacts. Bear in mind, this is the most complex temple of over 100 different Ellora Cave temples in the area, carved into the mountainside of this region. One of the greatest mysteries on earth is hidden behind this door. Underground, below the amazing Padmanabhaswamy Temple, dedicated to Lord Vishnu, located in the southern tip of Kerala, India, there is estimated to be over $100 billion in ancient treasure, gold, and possibly hidden scriptures detailing advanced machinery. In 2011, the Indian government began to open the first 5 underground vaults, finding immense amounts of ancient treasure. A necklace of pure gold over 18 feet in length, various types of amazing jewelry, a solid gold throne studded with diamonds and jewels, thousands of gold chains and pure gold pots, various diamonds, jewels, and many ancient coins from the medieval, Roman, and even pre-Christian era, dating back over 2,000 years, just to name a few of the things that were found here in these first 5 underground vaults. There clearly is an immense amount of priceless treasure hidden and protected for centuries underground below this temple. In total, an estimated over 1,300 tons of gold has been located here, with a conservative value of over 40 billion US dollars. Truly an exceptional place of divine history. Before we get into the most incredible and shocking discovery beneath this temple of the last known door, what is referred to as Vault B, let's take a close look into the incredible alignments and architecture of this temple. The tower or gopuram at the main entrance rises over 100 feet high, with incredible ornate and intricate sculptures adorning the walls. There are 7 floors to this tower, with a door or window-like opening on either side. What is truly remarkable is the fact that these doors align perfectly with the sun during the equinoxes that occur twice a year, when the day and nights are equal. These are highly sacred and looked after moments in the Earth's orbit across all ancient cultures. The Egyptians, Mayans, Stonehenge, and many more places track this moment with precise detail, letting all future cultures know of its importance to them. When the sun sets on the 2 equinox days of the year, you will see the sun pass through each of these openings in roughly 5-minute intervals, showing a remarkable astronomical and scientific understanding this ancient culture held. To make this possible, extremely precise engineering was needed during its construction, aligning it precisely with the eastern and western degree lines at perfect right angles. Otherwise, it would not be possible to see the sun pass through these doors if it were only off by 1 or 2 degrees. Now, let's explore the most incredible and shocking discovery of this temple, the 6th vault door known as Vault B. After exploring and taking inventory of the first 5 vault doors, finding an estimated $40 billion in treasure and riches, something truly mind-blowing would be found. A sixth door in this underground chamber, guarded by the mythical Hindu Nagas, which are half serpent, half human Hindu gods. The Nagas are said to have sealed this door shut with their Pasa mantra, making it so no one could smash their way into the chamber with brute force. This sixth chamber entrance has 3 doors to it, 2 made of iron, and the middle door an extremely heavy wooden door. The government explorers were able to open the first 2 doors, but have struggled to open the final Vault B door. The high priests have said this door cannot be opened because it contains a unique curse for anyone who would try to open the vault forcefully, and the world itself will come to an end. If that isn't crazy enough, the man who started this legal intervention to begin opening these hidden underground vaults died 3 weeks after the commenced exploration of these underground chambers began, as if it was some sort of divine retribution. Currently, there is a legal battle in the Indian Supreme Court for who truly owns these riches. Is it the royal families or the government? And if the 6th vault door should even be opened. This is truly, without a single doubt, one of the greatest mysteries on Earth today, leaving us with so much to wonder and ask questions about. Knowing that we have already found 6 consecutive chambers underground below this temple, could there be another vault door even beyond this one? How many more hidden chambers are present here below the temple? Is it guarded by thousands of king cobras inside, or crocodiles like the ancient mysteries tell us? Will it start a massive flash flood, collapsing the whole temple if the door is opened? What is truly inside this mythical infamous door? Could there be ancient scriptures describing a blueprint for a Vimana, which is an ancient Indian spaceship of sorts? Like it was the most interesting plot of an ancient Indiana Jones movie in real life. What a monumentally amazing discovery we have here. It really makes us think, what else is hidden beneath the surface of this planet across India and the entire world? As if it were a plot from the new Indiana Jones meets Avatar movie. Once thought to be just a mythical city from the Mahabharata, has now been located and proven to not just be a myth or legend, but a fact. Today on Infinite History, we will explore this monumental discovery. A moment that would change the archaeological timeline as we know it, and the inherent evidence for advanced societies with incredible sophistication here on Earth. This city dates back over twice as far into our past as the Sumerian culture. Across the globe, there is no doubt we have an immense amount of lost civilizations under the ocean from over 10,000 years ago. And the discoveries such as this one of a once thriving city in the Gulf of Kambat provides us with irrefutable evidence of an advanced culture that once inhabited this area, only to be hidden within the ocean and sands of time. Over the past 15 to 20,000 years, the sea level has risen 400 feet or some 120 meters across the globe to what can only be described as several cataclysmic events, causing massive melting of the ice sheets here on Earth. These water events scientists have termed meltwater pulse 1A, 1B, and 1C, and depict these almost sudden and immediate moments where massive amounts of rising in sea level occurred, providing us with the evidence that correlates with these massive cataclysmic events that would sweep many coastal civilizations into lost cultures now underwater. Many of these coastal regions around the world are now oceanic zones, leaving behind hidden treasure and fragments of ancient thriving metropolises for us to find and rewrite history with. In the early 2000s, the National Institute of Oceanography was commissioned by the Indian government to conduct an archaeological survey of India's coastline in the Gulf of Kambat, discovering something amazing along their journey underwater in the Gulf of Kambat some 7 miles offshore. This would change the known history of India and the entire world forever. Once thought to be just a mythical city, now proven true.
It is clear that the Mahabharata is much more than just a fictional writing and is a factual textbook and guide written by our ancestors. Discovering many artifacts including stone sculptures, terracotta beads, bronze, iron, and copper objects, different stone structures, pottery shards dating back to 5,500 years ago, and, amazingly, some wooden artifacts that would allow us to carbon date this site to over 9,000 years ago. It is clear that this city was inhabited for many thousands of years prior to the massive rise in sea levels and probably throughout several periods of different cultures, right around the time of the Younger Dryas cataclysmic events. This is truly one of the most groundbreaking finds in the 20th century. The question is, how long was this city thriving prior to 13,000 years ago? And how deep into antiquity does it dive? What is said to be the city of Lord Krishna has now re-emerged from under the sea and come back to life, begging for more exploration to be done here. In Sanskrit, the word dwar means door or gate, so Dwarka was the gate to Western India, a thriving port city conducting trade with Africa and the rest of the Western world. It is clear the Vedas are true, and what has been found here near Gujarat off the west coast of India underwater adds even more weight to the mountain of evidence supporting these ideas. With the discovery of Göbekli Tepe, Karahan Tepe, and 13 other sites in Turkey dating back to over 13 to 14,000 years ago, we now must open our minds to this knowledge and extension of scientifically sophisticated human timelines and the civilizations prior to these cataclysmic events some 13,000 years ago, as we now search with more intention across the planet for other lost civilizations prior to the Younger Dryas cataclysms 12,900 and 11,700 years ago, which clearly wiped out a highly advanced culture from across the entire planet, coincidingly caused these 3 meltwater pulses and rising of the oceans 400 feet, sweeping coastal cities into underwater treasures for us to find. These cataclysmic events align with possible comet impacts, which we now have the evidence of with the Hiawatha crater in Greenland, and solar events that would trigger massive flooding events, megastorms, and the supervolcanoes to erupt, along with massive earthquakes. You could imagine just how chaotic this time would be, and how hard it would be to truly keep a record of what happened. Clearly, with the evidence of Dwarka found under the sea, we have a scientifically sophisticated culture stretching into the last precessional cycle some 12,000 to 26,000 years ago. Now, with this knowledge over the coming years, hopefully the Indian government will do more in-depth exploration and high-quality LiDAR scans of the entire Gulf of Khambat, so we can further our understanding of the true size and scope of this city that is estimated to be comparable to the size of Manhattan in New York. For it is clear we have a magical and mystical lost city here under the sea. Nobody can deny that. As we gather a better understanding, we can ask better questions, which allows us to gain more knowledge of these areas and continue to ask more detailed and informed questions that allow us to fully travel on our quest to the truth of our ancient past. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Infinite History. Would you travel to India and explore these ancient sites and lost cities? Leave your answers in the comments below. If you enjoyed the vibes, please subscribe and throw us a like on the video to help boost this knowledge in the algorithm. See you next week for a video on the proven age of the Sphinx being over 20,000 years old. And remember, nothing is set in stone besides the pyramids.